Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who has helped me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Jenny Alexander, who describes to our listeners how she overcame two life-changing events in the order of a failed marriage, followed by a job transfer due to a move. She learned through a failed marriage just what it is about herself, some of those defining characteristics. One of them was gaining confidence in herself, which when she entered a new marriage, found the right person, which then led to getting a new job. She had to go through another pivot point and having the confidence to find another job, but she is living a great life and is an author and is passing forward her life experiences. Marty, what are some takeaways you got from Jenny's story?
Jenny explained in this podcast her healing from divorce and the steps she took. She said it took her quite some time to face the pain, but she started facing the pain, joined a divorce group, and received counseling. Getting through this painful period, she has written 5 books based on her past experience, what she learned, and developed resources to help others through these types of challenges.
It's a great life lesson of how she has learned from her past experiences. Let's listen and learn together. Jenny, it's great to have you with us. Our listeners are going to be very interested in knowing your story of what it seems to be 2 major setbacks. One is marriage. You experienced a divorce after 25 years, and you also experienced a job loss. And some of our listeners are going through either or both of the same. They might be thinking, for those who are experiencing one or both of those, I feel like I'm in a point of despair, but Jenny, you have learned how to recover from that setback. Let's call it a setback.
Okay.
And you are living a new life. Jenny, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Jenny, can you describe to our listeners, just very briefly, maybe in a little more detail? We're not here to focus on the past, but what you did experience, but more so, how did you recover and move on?
Yeah. So just to a point of clarification, I was actually married for almost 13 years rather than 25, but a minor point. Still a long time, and it wasn't a healthy marriage. It ended in divorce. My ex had affairs and was not willing to work on the marriage, so that really left me with no choice. I was not healthy, and I had to make the hard decision to leave that marriage. And that was kind of a turning point. Like, that gave me the ability to be able to begin recovering. It was a long road to recovery, mostly because, and some of your listeners may relate to this, but when you're dealing with such pain, it's easy to deny the pain that you're experiencing because it's kind of scary to look at what you're feeling. And so I did do that for a number of years, but I finally faced the pain. I went to a divorce care group that was very helpful in my recovery. Just getting that support, that is the number one key. Getting support, facing the pain, and getting support are two very key points in recovery.
Thank you, Jenny. I apologize for the 25
Oh,
year
that's okay.
mistake. I was thinking more so about your job.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm thinking, Jenny, as you described your marriage and divorce, that you sought help. You did not
Yes.
isolate. And there's some people who may choose isolation through embarrassment, any number of reasons. But I think, at least in your experience, and I'm very interested on behalf of our listeners, would you strongly encourage, do not isolate, find someone who can identify with you and maybe not sympathize, but at least empathize and help you start a new life?
Definitely. Like, even another thing I did, which I forgot to mention, is I sought the help of counselors as well. So either if it's counseling or a support group, no matter what kind of loss you're experiencing, it's very important to get that support, because when you're with people that have gone through what you have been through, you don't feel alone. You feel like there's hope, and you can encourage each other, because some might be further along in their recovery.
Did you experience, let's say, some aspect of embarrassment that, well, people just don't do this? I was in this for a lifetime commitment, and oh my gosh, he betrayed me. And how do I face this? How do I move on? Did you experience any of those things?
Yes, absolutely. Because I think that's part of why I denied the pain for a few years, because it was so painful, and it was shameful to have that happen, but also others knew about it. So yes, I did experience that.
Now, I'm very curious, and our listeners are very interested in relationships. In hindsight, Jenny, could you relate the reason for the divorce, that is the affairs and not being faithful to you? Were you able to actually bring all that together and just say, yes, I kind of sort of recognized it, but I denied it, didn't think it would happen? And I'm trying to suppose, did you maybe guess that some of this may end up in the way it did?
I think before the breakdown of the marriage, it was kind of going in that direction. I think both of us were probably in denial a little bit, but then eventually it just ran its course, and it was healthier for both of us, really.
And Jenny, Marty and I have a relationship course. We are very interested in helping people with dating, work relationships, and so forth. Marty and I know the importance of relationships, and I don't want to try to promote ourselves over anyone else. That's not my point, but I will tell you personally, I know the fulfillment of having a great relationship. At the end of the day, during the day, we can always talk about and share experiences and so forth. But again, in hindsight, I hope you're not devastated with men, and there's no man on the earth worth it. Hopefully we have not destroyed that for you. But do you feel like maybe even because of this experience, you'll be able to be more discerning? And I hope I'm not using the wrong word. Discerning of a lifetime mate?
Well, actually, I am remarried now. I got remarried last year. And I was able to choose much, much better the second time. I actually wrote a book on how to choose, how to not settle when it comes to love. Because when you choose a mate, it's supposed to be for a lifetime, and you do not want to settle. That's actually part of the failure of my first marriage, is that I did settle. I knew my ex wasn't the best for me. And so, yes, I wasn't jaded on men. I was a little skittish when I was dating my husband for about the first month, but then I got over it. So, yes.
No, that's good. What's the title of your book so our listeners will know?
Yeah, it's called Stop Settling When It Comes to Love, Wise Dating Practices for Women, although men could probably benefit from it as well.
All right. And so Only curious. Did you date your current husband longer than your former husband? Was that a part of it?
Not really. It was about 2 years. Both relationships were about 2 years. But I was much younger the first time, and I didn't have as much self-respect or self-confidence, which did have the second time. So that makes a big difference too.
I think what you just said is very important.
Mhm.
And I do know that there are some people who prey on PREY type prey
Yeah.
vulnerabilities. They see and they
Yes.
want to take advantage of and so forth. And I'm not trying to stereotype, but I just know
No.
it happens. But you know, in the second time around,
Mm.
I think you were wiser. You knew what to look for, some of the signs, it seems.
Yeah. And also, I was a whole person at this point in my second marriage. Well, divorce gave me the opportunity to become who I was always meant to be. I was able to heal from the inside out. And so that made a big difference choosing and helping me choose more wisely the second time.
Describe what you mean by a whole person.
Oh, well, I guess I accept myself now. I didn't really accept myself when I was younger. I didn't necessarily like myself. I didn't necessarily love myself. And so that's all different now.
I'm going to interpret what you just said, Jenny, is you now have, I'm going to use the term, a healthy self-confidence,
Yes.
whereas before you may have had at best a very low self-confidence
Yeah.
and maybe not much of anything at all. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement. Yes.
Now, some of our listeners are going through that right now. When I was a preteen, I had no confidence. How did you, through life experience, through
Mm.
maybe association with others, how did you develop a healthy self-confidence?
Well, one thing that actually did help me is right before my first marriage ended, I had started going back to school for a master's degree, which I never thought would be a thing in my life. And while I was recovering from divorce, I studied my heart out and I did good on those courses and I graduated. And that was quite an accomplishment in your 40s to have earned a master's degree. And so what I say is setting a goal and reaching it is very helpful in attaining confidence or gaining confidence. It doesn't have to be going back to school, but just setting any kind of goal and reaching it, or maybe multiple goals and reaching it, is very helpful for self-confidence.
Very good. You just
Mhm.
described a part of Marty's life.
Okay.
And so that's all good. Now I'm going to again read into what you're saying, Jenny,
Yeah.
that there was a part of your earlier life that academically you were uncertain if you could, whatever, however you would express
Absolutely.
that. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I didn't ever want to go back to school, and I wasn't a bad student. I was an average student, very average student. I did okay in school. So to be getting A's in my classes, I was like asking my teachers, "Are you guys really easy markers or what?" Like I was just like kind of shocked. And over time that just builds confidence when you continue to do well at something that you didn't expect to do well in.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm
Mhm.
reading into also, and again, if I'm saying something that does not reflect you, certainly
Yeah.
tell me. But through life experiences, you found your niche, your strengths, you
Yes.
found out who Jenny is,
Yes.
and you built on those strengths. You may have had some other people who agreed with you, edified you, and
Mm.
it became, I'm going to call it institutional in that it just built on itself. And Jenny is the healthy, confident person today she was not some number of years ago.
That's right. And actually, something else that really helped after divorce is I started to notice that the friends that I had weren't actually that good for me either. So I made the difficult decision to end some of those unhealthy friendships. And that also, it was very difficult, almost as difficult as a divorce, not quite, but it was very difficult. But that actually increased my confidence too, because I didn't have that drain in my life.
And what you said is very important.
Hmm.
Many of us are a product of our friends, Jim
Mhm.
Rome, has
Yep.
the expression, you are the product of the five who are most close
Yeah.
to you.
I've heard that.
And so if those five are where you want to be, you
Mhm.
will become like they are. And
Right.
if those five are just somewhere below you, doing stuff from the hood, so to speak,
Yeah.
it's possible you'll become like them. Is that somewhat of an accurate expression of you?
Yes. Yep. I would say so.
Now, Jenny, I'm going to guess you had to make some very difficult decisions regarding your friends,
I
that
really did.
you
Mhm.
may have had to say something to the effect, I'm not ditching you, but I just can't have you in my close circle of friends. I'm curious how you brought that about.
Well, basically, I did say I had to. I just said it in a bit nicer way, but basically, I can't be your friend anymore. And I had had some of these friends for my whole life, almost since I was in elementary school, and I was 40 when I made that decision. So it's kind
That
of
had to
traumatic,
have taken a lot of confidence that
right?
you didn't have at an early age. Now,
Oh,
I'm going to guess, Jenny, a mentor, support group, someone encouraged you to make the statement you did. I'm going to have to change my friends.
well, I didn't really have a mentor. I remember talking to my family, my parents about the situation, and they were encouraging this, and they would say, like, it sounds like you've outgrown them, but no one actually encouraged me to like let go of those friends. That's just something I knew within myself I had to do it.
Wow, that's encouraging. That
Hmm.
somewhat on your own. Now, your parents were encouraging.
Yes.
I'm going to say you had your parents as a support group, but
Yeah.
yet you had to make a decision that maybe through the thinking time or whatever term
Mhm.
you would use, you thought about your life, your friends, you assessed where you are, and you decided, no, I'm going to have to make the decision. I have to change and up level my circle of friends. Did
Yeah.
you go through some sort of process like that?
Oh yeah, it took year. I didn't make that decision overnight. It took several years to come to that decision. It was kind of the friendships those friendships, it was long slow death, so to speak, because yeah, you just can't make that kind of decision. Well, I couldn't anyway. I couldn't make that kind of decision overnight. And it was a very difficult time, and I actually wrote a book about that too. I wrote about how to evaluate your friendships and to see if they're good for you or not, because I know something like that would have really helped me because I felt like I was kind of in it alone.
So you have a second book?
Yeah, I actually have 5 altogether. So
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to list all five of those for our listeners,
sure.
because there's some listeners who are very intrigued with your background, and they're saying, I'm a lot like Jenny, that I don't have a lot of confidence, but I've got to make a decision to change. And so, Jenny, I know it may be a matter, many of us are inspired by those we have associations with. Some
Mm.
are some of those associations we know about through reading, but it's learning about others who have made some very difficult decisions. I'm going to guess, and tell me, was it working your way through the marital relationship, that failure, that helped you through the job transition?
Well, in a sense, because when you make one big life change, it's easier. I don't know if it's easier, but you can get through other ones. And the reason that I lost that long held job is because I married and moved to a new city. So I couldn't take the job with me. And yeah, and I knew that this man was the man I was supposed to be with. And so I kind of had to take a leap of faith on that one. But I hadn't wanted to stay in the career I had been in till I retired anyway. I had been, but I just never thought I would have the opportunity to actually leave it. So anyway, but yes, I think making one big life transition helps you make other ones.
No, and I think that's very important. So at the time you made the job transition, you had what you now believe to be a lifetime husband, one who cared
Yes.
for you, about you. So you
Mhm.
had that confidence. And
Yes.
then now it's well, golly, I'm going to have to go through something similar, a job transition. We're moving to a new area. Can
Mhm.
I do it? And my guess is two things came to mind. I made it through the relationship problem,
Yeah.
and my husband is supporting me.
Yeah.
I've got two big supporters right there, and I can do this. I'm guessing Jenny was saying.
Yep. And it's like I knew, and I also just knew I had to do it. I knew it was the right path for me.
And so, in finding the new job, I'm going to believe I'm going to make a parallel between finding the right job and the right husband.
Okay.
I'm going to guess, knew what you're looking for. You knew more about your strengths, what it was that was satisfying, fulfilling to you. And
True.
you knew exactly, if not exactly, but you had a pretty good idea what you need to look for in a job. And I encourage people, you interview those at the prospective job location, because you have the right to say, nope, this is not the best place for me. But I'm guessing you went into it with that level of confidence.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's funny actually is that I'm not actually working outside. Well, I am working outside the home. I'm writing a lot. I expected that I would get here, take a few months to reorient myself and then find a part-time job of some sort, but that never felt right. So it surprises me that now I'm an author and, I'm a housewife and I love it. So that surprised me.
All right. Now I'm curious. Did you ever go through the thought process? Well, golly, who would read my books?
Oh, yes.
Who would be interested in my life?
Yes, I have definitely had that, and I still sometimes struggle with that. It's like the imposter syndrome. Who do you think you are writing these things?
But
Yeah,
yet, I'm going to guess, Jenny, that okay. Well, let me say it this way. I'm an advocate that I believe it. Everyone has a story someone needs to
yeah,
hear.
that's true. And
And
yep.
go ahead. I'm very interested in your story.
Oh, I was just gonna say somebody is where I was several years ago. That's who I wrote those books for. The me that I was a few years ago.
No, I think that's exactly right, Jenny. You're describing who you used to be,
Mhm.
and that's a lot of what our podcasts are.
Okay.
This is what people are going through, and in time, with perseverance, we're going to work through what we're going through, and we'll be able to look back on it and say, yes, I made it. And now,
Yeah.
can I help someone and benefit someone who may be experiencing the same thing? I really do want to inspire somebody to make it through what I thought would be almost impossible to make it through. But I think, Jenny, that what you're doing is your attitude is, I do want to benefit others, and I can do that through writing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I want to help be a guide to them.
I'm a co-author, but I'm not an author. And
Right.
so you learned how to write, that's one thing, but you learned
Yeah.
how to publish. And
Yes.
you're on your fifth book, so you've learned how to put all this together. I'm curious, how many years did it take you to put all this together?
I wrote my first book last November.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they're not long books. They're like the longest book is about 77, 87 pages, but most of them are around 50 pages. So, and the benefit of that is when you're going through something traumatic like a divorce recovery, you don't necessarily have the mental capacity to read a lot of information. That's a benefit of smaller books.
You learned how to, one, write,
Yeah.
two, publish,
Yeah.
and it's things you have to learn to do. They're not things
Yes.
that just occur naturally.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not.
But no, that's good. Now you learned to, you found an editor, or it's a part of the book publishing process and so forth.
Well, I tend to edit myself. My budget isn't huge. So I edit myself using online tools like Pro Writing Aid or Grammarly. And there's also websites where you can have them read your material to you because you can often pick up typos when someone reads it. So yeah, I just use little tricks like that.
Nope, that's good. I write a lot, and Grammarly is one of those tools that helps me. perfect my writing and
Yeah.
say, oh gosh, I wouldn't have thought of wording it that way, but it
Yeah.
does sound better.
Grammarly is our friend.
Yes, for sure. So, do you have a business, Jenny, or is it your books that you get your word out to people?
Yeah, I would say I have a book business, and I've also created a couple courses, relationship-based courses as well. So, but yeah, I would say it's a business. I'm building it as we speak.
Nope, that's good.
Yeah.
How can our listeners contact you? Website or otherwise?
It's JennyEAlexander.com. And if you go to that website, you'll also find my social media, Facebook and Instagram on there. It's all in one-stop shopping, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
And you have a relationship course that's available to our
Yeah.
listeners?
So I have a course about how setting boundaries can help you heal after divorce. So I have that course, and then I have another course. The boundary course there's a fee attached to it, but it's not very much. But the other course is free, and it's how to create a vision of your future spouse. That's one thing that really helped me stay on track the second time, creating
Okay,
a
great.
vision of what I wanted. Or, you don't always get everything you want, but sometimes it's better.
Right.
Yeah.
Boundaries is a topic we have discussed with several people and reflecting on the way things used to be. Do you feel you did not have boundaries, that you just kind of let things happen?
Yeah, especially with my friends, my former friends, those relationships definitely needed boundaries. And so when I started to set them, then I got to see, well, I was right to set them and they needed to be set. But yeah, even in the marriage, there were probably boundaries I should have erected. Actually, the biggest boundary I should have set was to not have married him. But anyway.
Okay. Now, there's some people, and I'm interpreting boundaries to not necessarily be confined to the definition of values or convictions, but
Yeah.
I think it's at least related to that I just can't go there type thing. And some of that's related to, well, I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to go against someone and possibly risk a friendship. Is that a part of boundaries from your life experience?
Yeah, boundaries can relate to values. The values that you have, like if you're dating someone and you value clean air and you don't want them to smoke, you're going to set a boundary of, I'm not going to date someone that smokes. So yeah, they can be related to values for sure.
And that is the way I relate to a value.
Mhm.
Okay, you're either going to stop smoking in this instance,
Yeah,
but we're not going to be able to coexist if you're not willing to stop smoking.
yeah,
And it may be something like I like everything else about you,
yeah.
but the smoking is so bad that I just don't want to lay next to somebody who smells like smoke.
No, right. And
But
that's just one example, but
it is one example, but yet, and there are some other things that may relate to conversations. Can we work through any legitimate differences, or are there taboo topics that, man, we definitely can't talk about that because it relates to an argument, or it always ends up in an argument kind of thing. That those are the kind of boundaries that maybe we just need to discuss and work through to determine if this relationship can go further.
right, definitely. Yeah,
But
there's some negotiable, some non-negotiable kind of things.
no, exactly. And
Mhm.
my guess, Jenny, is it took you a while to gather the courage, gain the courage to be able to address these kind of things. Maybe in an earlier life, I'm just guessing from this conversation,
Hmm.
you may have accepted a lot of things earlier in life that now you definitely would not.
Absolutely, yeah. I would have ended relationships or not even started relationships with certain people in my past. If I were to meet those people now, yeah, for sure.
Well, Jenny, I'm going to ask you maybe a kind of an unfair question. What is the future for you? You are a book writer. You're very happy doing that. And I'm not supposing you're going to do that for the rest of your life, but what do you see for your future?
I actually have a couple more book ideas that I'm working on. I don't know when these other books will be published, but I do have other books in the works. I would like to, I don't know, I'm not really sure. I do plan to keep writing, and who knows what kind of opportunities can come from that.
Yes. Do you envision yourself having a consulting, coaching business, anything like that?
I'm not sure. I have been asked that because I do have that counseling degree. I'm not a counselor, but yeah, I'm not sure. That is an option, I suppose, but yeah, I haven't really thought that far ahead yet.
Well, Jenny, I think you have a lot of options. That's the main thing.
Yes,
And
sure.
you are not down on yourself. That's the good
No.
part. But then the positive part is, nope, you're moving forward and you're
Mhm.
taking the best of the past and moving forward. You have a desire to be a benefit to others, and you are. So I think you're off to a great start. I think you've got a great future.
Thank you very much.
And Jenny, on behalf of our listeners, thank you for your life experience. Thank you for passing on and being an inspiration to others that, yes, there is a life after setbacks. So that's all good.
It is, and sometimes, as they say, your mess can be turned into your message.
Oh,
So,
I like that. Your
yeah,
mess can be turned into a message. I think
yeah,
you're right on target.
there you go.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing, Jenny. We
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life's experiences with you.
The Cooper Culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, Marty, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and DISC personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.